Hey, it's Brian Quain of Reason to Believe. I was recently diagnosed as neurodivergent, and I've been on a journey to understand what this means for me. In the process, I realized there's an opportunity to connect with others who share the same desire to learn more about being on the spectrum. So sit back and enjoy stories from my friends, my guests, myself, and the incredible journeys shared on these episodes. You'll hear about obstacles faced, victories achieved, struggles overcome, but most importantly, our passion for belonging and connection. We are wired differently, but thriving always. Reason to Believe is the reason we are proudly autistic. Now, welcome to the show. Hey everybody, it is the episode that I have longed for and that I've been wanting to come out for a week now. Actually, I've been wanting this episode to come out for months when we originally recorded it, and it was very much the length of the movie Magnolia. Yes, to Rich, this is the Tom Cruise movie. So Magnolia is 3 hours and 12 minutes. That's how long we went a few months ago. But I have the most amazing honor to have one of my really good friends, but also a really amazing coffee roaster that keeps me caffeinated all day. And I just want to say, one of the greatest people that I have had the honor of meeting for freaking almost 2 years now. Rich, take it away. I want you to say hello and kind of introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Rich, and I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, currently. Lived all over the country doing different things, different passions, anything from music to coffee to culinary. Anything really just sensory related is kind of what I'm into. And so going into that, whether I'm creating a new roast profile for a coffee or I'm making a friend or group of friends a meal, there's so many layers of things that I think having ASD and ADHD goes into it, because we go so deep into things, into layers, into a sponge, that we want to make sure every possibility of everything can be experienced from the other person with what we do and what we create or what we say.
Amen.
When I'm at a farmer's market selling coffee and people talk to me about coffee, I think that they can tell that I'm not just like a car salesman trying to sell you some gimmick. Because when they go deeper and they start asking questions about deeper things about the coffee, one in particular, I start to just really dive in. And I think a lot of the times they're not expecting that, and I feel like I give so much for them to take with them, and in such a way that they can understand it, but also they could pursue more and deeper into it if they want when they leave.
Well, what I love about the coffee, really quick, is that it for me, one of my favorite things is wine. It's just the notes, things like that, a good red wine. And your coffee has that for me, right? The notes.
Yeah.
It's not just your run-of-the-mill. I mean, and granted, yes, if I go to any supermarket now, sure, Starbucks or 8 o'clock, I think it's called. I don't even know. But there's so many different, coffee brands that are now doing the whole, like, besides just your regular, your decaf and your French roast, they're trying to do the whole, like, Ethiopian, Guatemala, da-da-da. And I get it. They understand region. But you're throwing in notes. Like, you're throwing in flavors,
Right.
layers. And hot diggity damn, that is coffee. That is what coffee should be. And I love that. That you actually just have that passion to bring in so many different kind of styles and flavors, and I love it. So yeah.
And also just to even say, like, those flavors are in the beans themselves. There's nothing added. There's no chemicals. There's no syrups or sugars. Like,
well, hot damn.
Jim Reynolds, one of the forefathers of coffee in the United States, back with Alfred Peet teaching Starbucks how to roast, he used to say, you can only roast what's in the bean itself. So, I can't make every coffee taste like it has blueberries and chocolate in it.
Right.
I can't make every coffee taste like peanuts and watermelon. You know what I mean? Like, so, when I go to approach something like that, a new coffee I'm not really familiar with, I'll normally roast a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast of that coffee. And I'll read the farmer's notes and kind of see what they were pulling from these beans and see if I can either replicate those or come close And then depending on where that coffee just cups the best of really telling that farmer and that culture's story, that's usually the roast that I use for that coffee.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me. It's about telling their story through a cup. And I have a platform in the United States where they may not normally be able to have that platform or place to showcase who and what they are and what they're able to do with coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more personal about me. And, when you drink that cup of coffee in the morning, you've had probably 200 or 300 hands go through that cup of coffee that you're drinking.
Is that nuts?
And so it's
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm just bridging the gap between origin and consumer.
That's awesome.
Really it.
So we say telling that story. Let's do this. We're gonna have you start and tell your story. But first thing I want you to do, as we do on this show, I want you to take 3 deep breaths. Okay. Obviously, you're gonna do the deep breath in, and on the deep breath out or the exhale, I want you to say something you're thankful for today. And whenever you're ready, I have Paisley by my side, so I'll go ahead and pet her while you're doing this. But go ahead and do that for me.
My partner, Julie. Without her, I really don't know what I would be at this moment.
Yeah. No, I get that. Oh my God, I get that. Yeah.
You and Casey, of course. We've known each other, like I think you said, almost 2 years now, but probably closely about 8 months, I'd say, give or take, maybe a year.
Almost a year now. Yeah. Is that nuts? Yeah.
And, I think just life in general, every morning I get an opportunity to live this life. Not every day is a great day. Not every day is a bad day. And I think just, as long as we're here, we're able to keep pursuing and doing things and spreading knowledge and our passions in life in different ways and sharing that with other people.
So where do you feel your first passion ever really, like, let's start the story. It could be obviously young. I mean, it's so weird. I think it's Will Wheaton that Casey just mentioned, that he has a podcast now where he was writing down their family was I think it was either they were poor or they just didn't have the ability to watch everything, record everything. So he would write down the scripts to the TV shows he was watching, and now he's rereading them, kind of thing. And I did the same thing. I took Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I rewrote the whole script. I did that with Beetlejuice, all at the age of like 11 or 12 or 13. No, 11 or 12. So those were my passions right there. Just wanted to write, do that. How about you? Where was like your first ever passion when growing up? Where was something that you felt you put a lot of energy into?
So when I was young, my father is a pretty well-known sax player, indifferent from jazz to rock and roll. And like, I think it was like 70s or 80s, his band, I think it was the Screaming Blue Jays he was with. Yeah. They won like the MTV Music Awards, and they were like a local band from New Jersey at this time. Not a major label. It's not all the, glamour you see now on TV.
Right.
And when I was born, he decided to move to South Florida from New Jersey because just cost of living, and just circumstances. He was just like, I could give my family a better life down there and start new. In Florida at that time in 87, 89, somewhere in there, it wasn't the place it is now by any means. It was very swampy.
Yeah.
It wasn't all these big cities and, things that you see on TV anymore or now. And he said, I remember, couldn't tell you how old I was. I must have been 4 or 5. And he said, I don't care what instrument you play, drums, guitar, piano, saxophone, trumpet, but you're going to play something. And he, like I said, he didn't care. Like, he threw everything at me, from guitars to, little plastic drum sets. And he was just like, just to see what I would kind of gravitate towards. And then once that was kind of set in stone, then he pushed me to develop that, develop the passion, develop the skill, and just, I think in a sense, like in his brain, he's like, my son's going to follow in my footsteps, but he did to my sister as well. And she played keyboard for a little while, part of her life. And I think she switched to guitar for a little while. And 10 years going from there. So 15, 16 years old, I was playing, clubs and bars, playing everything from, punk or emo to hardcore to metalcore. But really what it came down to was the music had to have passion. You had to feel it. I didn't want to be up there and just be like, look at me, I'm great. I wanted to actually be a part of something that was having some kind of movement or presence that people reciprocated and resonated with.
And South Florida had that 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why
Yeah.
Florida was so awesome in that sense, because you could go to a concert, like a lot of the times in Fort Myers, it was at a skate park or a strip mall, like record store.
Right, exactly. And I think that's why when I had my record store, doing Echo Records, I was like, you know what? I need to have a music venue. And there was a place, I shit you not, there was a place called the Boot Barn in Davie, Florida, that when they closed, the landlord let us have that place as a venue. And I shit you not, it was like the coolest thing. And this is the same thing that I think we talked about 403 Chaos, which was that little record store venue in Tampa that Steve Heritage, who produced like Ass Suck, Reversal Man, Hot Water Music, he ran that place, and it was $1 per band and $1 for the house. And that's what I did.
Right.
Yeah. So each show was $1 per band and then $1 for the house. And so we had low, it was a low ticket price. You walked right up and you walked right in. It was awesome. Awesome.
But you know what the biggest thing is that you see now that wasn't really so much then, if anything, even when I was down there when we met up in November for that festival, that Memorial Festival for a friend.
Yeah.
There's no gatekeeping.
None.
You could go to a show and see a pop punk band, an emo band, a deathcore band, and then punk, and everyone got along with everybody. There was no like, oh, you're not hard enough, or you're not this look, the scene was a family. It had nothing to do with the genre that you were playing.
So here's
everybody
something,
loved and respected everyone.
Can I know we really haven't delved into this a lot. I've mentioned it once, maybe twice, because I really want to do Fest, right? I really want to bring the podcast to Fest, which is in Gainesville. Because let's be honest, punk rock in Florida is so great. I'm sorry. It's great. It is a great scene. A lot of people don't realize it. I want to bring the podcast to Fest because I want to talk to band members who are on the spectrum. And let's agree. There's going to be a shit ton of them, right?
Yeah.
The reason, now you say family, but here's the thing. How many of us do you really feel are on the spectrum because we feel that in school we've been made fun of, with family we've been made fun of, we're feeling recluse, we're feeling like we don't belong, and we find ourselves gravitating to each other when it comes to being on the spectrum, right? Like now I'm realizing a lot of my friends growing up, I'm like, holy shit, I had no idea. We keep saying this in the last few months. Oh my God, I had no idea. You and I would have been best of fucking friends back in the day if we knew each other. And then we would both get diagnosed and go, I had no idea. So I feel the punk rock scene is very much like finding out we're all diagnosed on some sort of ADHD, ASD. We're a family. And I think that might have a lot to do with it too, unless I'm wrong.
Well, another common thing, two bands that, and I didn't play neither of them. They're just great bands from Fort Myers, Cape Coral, was there was a pop punk band called the Anchor at Four, and then there was a screamo band called Jayuna, and you can find them both on YouTube. And so if you want to kind of hear my word, you can see it just from the video of the people there. I'm probably 15, 16 in the video, so it's like, if you want to play Where's Waldo and figure out what I looked like at that age. But awesome. So many people in that crowd came from either broken homes, like I was still lucky to have some of the most amazing parents I've ever could ever ask for.
I love that, man. I love that.
And they're still together, and
and vegan.
And and vegan, but in that crowd, I was the odd guy. Most of my friends came from broken homes or lived with one parent or didn't even know one or two parents,
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
it was like a place where it was like none of those circumstances mattered because you're here and this is your family of friends and these people got your back and you didn't even have to be at a show. You could be somewhere like Walmart just shopping and it's like, oh, hey Frank, how's it going? You go to the show Friday and oh yeah, and how's home? How are you doing? And it was just like a natural open conversation. It wasn't like, oh man, he likes pop punk or he likes whatever and I can't talk to him. Like there wasn't any of that I see
None of
now in
that.
a lot of the ways,
None of that. And it's so crazy that in my record store, you had the one kid with the cut up denim jacket with the Liberty spikes. Then you had the fucking shaved head on the one other kid who just maybe had suspenders on, and then you just had the regular punk rock hoodie kid, they all were hanging out. They were all hanging out, and I love that. And I think that's why when it comes to seeing what's going on with the state of the weight of the world right now, where I'm like, really, are we all not getting along or da 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 da? I feel like, but that's what I've drowned myself in. Same thing with I think the film industry too. I never ever with a lot of independent filmmakers, when they would come to a festival and you're like, oh, when's your screening? When's your screening? Oh, I'll be there for your screening for sure. And you're all realizing you're all digging like that dude wrote a comedy, but your film's about someone with cancer that's dying, and you got to figure out how I'm gonna get through the day, kind of thing, and how everybody just gels into one big family. And I say this always when it comes to like something like Fest or a film festival. It feels like a sleepaway camp. It feels like a camp where everybody is just friends, and it's like, don't forget to write, or now don't forget to text. I feel that was with Florida big time when it came to the punk rock scene, or just like that whole hardcore punk, even ska. Damn, man, we have a compilation out there from the 90s about ska. Like, I forgot what it was called, like maybe Hotter Than Something, but it was all about, it was all these ska bands, and it was like 22 bands, I think it was. And I was like, did we really have all those damn ska bands besides what everybody thought Less Than Jake was ska? Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy to know our music scene was huge, and still is. Still really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, it's only grown because Julie, she had only experienced Knoxville and like East Tennessee as far as like the scene and maybe a little bit of Nashville, and she lived there. But, until she went down to Florida and I got to show her, we had bands like Madball and Haywire and and Death Before Dishonor, all these like legend OG like hardcore bands.
Yeah.
And she was just like, I have never experienced a place or a scene that was like this. They treated me like family, and they don't know me from anyone else. And I said, that's because when those guys speak, and not just the bands, but the people in the crowd standing, like it's a way of life. They understand people have struggles, they have different things going on, and like it's the real definition of community, And it doesn't matter if you're the touring band or if you're a local legend, like people treated you like a rock star and really loved and wanted to experience what you had to say or do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love fests like that. I really do. And the fact that you came down for it, I mean, honestly, it's like, I know so many people that do the whole like, I'm going to Bonnaroo, I'm going to Coachella. I'm like, why? Ew. Like, But then, dude, fuck off. Get it. Like, this is like, I would rather do the whole, Madball. Like, I would probably, like, Haywire. I would have been there with you. Honestly, I forgot what Casey and I were doing, where it was like, but I think it was life. Fuck it. It was life. At the same time, I think it was just like, like Fest again, or things like that. Like, just, I don't know if I could do outdoor festivals, but hey, you know what? It works. We just had something called Welcome to Rockville, which happens in in Daytona, right? It's at the Daytona Beach Speedway thing. It used to be in Jacksonville, if I remember, and it's awesome. It's an awesome festival, but y'all, you decided to have a festival when it was going to be 99 degrees in Florida. And luckily it's on Daytona, so you're getting the beach, you're getting the breeze at least. But yeah, and honestly, Green Day did a hell of a set list. Dillinger Escape Plan, holy shit. Man, I
Oh,
kind
did
of
they
wish
get back
I
together?
would. Yep, they reunited. So it was, listen to this, man. Fucking Quicksand played the same night. It was
Oh man.
Health, Dillinger, and then Quicksand. I think like back on a stage, and I was like, damn. I was like, that's awesome. In Knoxville right now, and you're busy. You're making coffee, so keep fucking doing that. But
Right.
what is the music scene for you there? Because let's be honest, we're gonna get into drums in a minute. Because honestly, I think you and I connect really big time on the drums. So I didn't forget that. But the music scene in Knoxville, lacking? Is it something that's like exciting to you?
I wouldn't say it's lacking.
Okay,
I
good.
would say it's different.
Yeah.
You know, I would almost compare California to Florida, but I kind of feel like California, it's more like weird, like aesthetic flex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it
But
is.
but the scene is still good. Like they get good bands. They still pick each other up when someone falls, in the pit or something like that. And if anything, I'm going to reverse back to Knoxville after this, but I remember there would be shows in California, like Terror is playing right in Sacramento, and you would have like Hell's Angels just walk up into the crowd, like
Yeah.
wanting to chant and sing, and it was interesting because it was like people were terrified, but when they realized like they're not there to hurt anybody, they're there to have a good time with like everyone else, like everyone gets along, and that was kind of really like just unique to me to see. But coming back to Knoxville, we get a lot of great concerts through here, a lot of good touring bands. There's a small venue that they actually just celebrated their 25th year open, and it would be like, to me, if Knoxville's had a CBGB, it would
Okay.
be this place, and
Yeah.
it's called the Pilot Light, and it's a real small venue. I mean, maybe with the bar, stage, and everything, maybe 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. I mean, it's a real small, hole in the
Damn.
wall kind of place,
Yeah.
but that's always where you usually experience those best intimate shows.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't even think they have a green room. I think behind the stage, it's pretty much everyone's gear,
Gear.
and you
Right.
literally just
Yeah.
walk
The
on
back
stage, and that's
door.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. The
It's
back door that leads to the van.
uh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so one band in particular that's more recent, because I've been kind of out of the scene for years now, um, is a band called Vern, and they're really good buddies of
Oh
mine.
my God, thank you for that. Yeah, I love that band. I catch myself listening to that EP when I'm like, God, what should I listen to right now? That is my good 17 minutes to get into what I'm going to listen to, if it's an audiobook or an album. And yeah, I really thank you for that band, like honestly, because they're fucking awesome. They really are.
My
Yeah.
Yeah, my buddy. I mean, they're all my buddies, but like my buddy Aaron that plays guitar. I've known him for probably 20 years, since I've been in Knoxville, and
Damn.
we actually met. I want to say, oh yeah, I was wearing a Law Dispute shirt, and this was before Law Dispute, I think, was even signed. I just happened to catch him at some little venue they were on a tour with, and I was new to Knoxville, and I didn't think that a lot of Knoxville really knew a lot of the underground punk and screamo and hardcore bands. And so my buddy Aaron looked, I didn't know him at the time. He turned around and he goes, "You fuck with Lot Dispute?" And I'm like, "You know who they are?"
That's
He's
so
like,
awesome.
"Yeah," like because a lot of my experience when I first moved here, it was like hardcore to most people here. From my experience, was Slipknot. And I'm not crapping on that band by any means. Like, I don't want to
No,
get a
not at
bunch of
all.
hate
Actually, they're really
comments on
nice.
there.
They're really
But
nice guys. Like honestly, at the end of the day, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, no, they're really, really, really nice. They were,
right,
like I've had the honor of like, helping them through, let's just say, like their iPhone troubles, if you will. And so,
Right.
yeah, no, they were fuck. I was like, oh, you're in Slipknot. I was like, you look nothing like the music
The
video.
mess.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly. But
um,
yeah.
but you do have some good bands here. So even a bigger band, you have Whitechapel. They're from
Mm-hmm.
Knoxville, and
Yeah.
I think the guys are from Maryville too. And they're some of the most laid back, nicest guys you'll ever meet in your life. When he's not on tour and I can get in, Alex cuts my hair, the guitar player.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Um,
awesome.
and like he was one of the first people I met here 20 years ago, and it's like I moved back from California and saw he was cutting hair, and I was like, oh well, I need a new barber. I'm gonna go check it out. And it was like he was just like, hey Dick, what's up? It was like we never left off, and I probably hadn't talked to him in 10 years.
I love that, man.
And
And I
so
love a good barber. My buddy Miner, best barber here in Orlando, man. I love the guy. He's actually been so supportive through all my years, like doing podcasts and stuff. So he's definitely jumped on this, and I think it's awesome. I do.
but
Yeah.
you do have a lot of like indie and emo and rock
Mm-hmm.
bands and
Oh my God,
even
of
like your
course. I mean,
bluegrass and your country style stuff
yeah,
too.
you're in Tennessee, man. I mean, there's like so much music, whether and it goes all over the place. It really does go all over the place because you're so close to Nashville,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
I
just
and
like,
I don't know if I know about 10 years ago rockabilly was real big.
yeah.
I don't know if it still is. Like I said, I've kind of been removed from the scene and stuff for the
Yeah,
last decade, but
Casey's really into like psychobilly, rockabilly stuff, and I would never know. I mean, like honestly, just yesterday, there's a song called "Yeah Right" by And Now I Know, and I've been singing this song "Yeah Right" since the '90s forever, and I think it's called "Yeah Right," and I thought it was Ministry for the whole time.
mm,
So I'm outside with Rigby, and Casey said something like, "Oh yeah, Land of Rape and Honey by." Well, she said "Land of Milk and Honey" by Ministry, and I was like, "God, I love that album." And I went, "Wait, it's Rape and Honey." And then I'm outside and I'm singing that song, "Yeah Right," and it hit me. It was Reverend Horton Heat doing
oh yeah.
when it was on Liquor in the Front, Poker in the Rear. It was on that big album that made them some sort of a something. And I went, holy shit, wait, they were doing a Ministry kind of like knockoff at that time. I was like, good for them, actually. And so it felt like Psalm 69 style. But that's where my brain goes. And let's get into the brain. We're going to get into the brain
Yeah.
because when you said you're a drummer, I went, oh God, shit, this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense because I'm a drummer and it just comes down to tapping. I'm sure you air drum all the time, either to music or just what you're doing. But do you feel that is something that's a release of like your brain, or does it like, what does drumming do for you? Or is it just like, no, that was a hobby and that's where I'm at?
There's so I think with ASD you try to like we don't always use the words that come out of our mouth isn't always what we're trying to get out, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that causes conflict or miscommunication and things. And like Julie, she'd be like, "Wait, I know he doesn't mean this. That he sounds like an asshole right now." And then she'll be like, "I know that's not what you mean. Explain again, or better explain."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when it comes to drumming, I was a jazz drummer that played punk and hardcore,
Okay. Okay.
and it's the best way I could say, like, to give someone like an understanding is there's a group called Two Cellos. It's two cello players. I believe they're from Italy, and they do a bunch of rock covers.
Mm.
But they do a cover of Hysteria by the band Muse, and it's very intense. It can be a lot, to take in. But I feel like that's the easiest way for me to explain what's going on inside the brain when you're listening to create, because there's so many moving pieces moving at once. It's almost like if someone took a puzzle with 1,000-piece puzzle, threw it along the table, and I can hear each individual piece, but I have to put it together to make sense so it becomes a picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the best way to really like describe what goes in between like creation and externalizing what's actually going through your brain.
Man, I feel it because honestly, I think I used the puzzle piece analogy yesterday. when talking about like the diagnosis and what I'm going through right now. And it was weird. I don't think I ever questioned why a puzzle piece is like autism's logo or like, kind of like a universal sign for it. And I still don't. I'm not like saying that's the reason why it is. I'm just kind of saying like, holy shit. And I think a puzzle is a huge analogy. And I was watching Bob's Burgers, which every day, because it's on. It's just on. FXX is on in the background whenever we're just home. And I was watching Bob's Burgers, and every so often they mentioned Tina Belcher being autistic in the first episode ever as a joke. And then it was just dropped from there. Now, is she autistic? Oh, you betcha. She is definitely on the spectrum. But one of the greatest things ever is a quick episode. This is like a quick story. Linda, the mom, Bob's wife, is going to a essential oils kind of like an Amway thing, and she's going, and the kids wind up following with her sister, and they get to the house, and the woman that has the essential oil, she's like, "Oh, kids, come on, you can go hang out with my son," and the dog in the other room. They open the door, and the kid looks at them, and they're just in the doorway, and the kid goes, "Do you like puzzles?" And the younger ones, Louise and Jean, the son, go, "No." They're like, "No." Tina just goes, "Yes, please." And I went, oh my God, are there little fucking Easter eggs of Tina being on the spectrum that I'd never really put together? And the second she said yes, I went, oh my God. That was like, that was me. I was like, oh, that joke was for me. Nobody else. I get it. And like, I had to record it in case he was like, "Babe, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Tina wants to do a puzzle." So, and here's the thing. I didn't realize it was a thing. I have therapy tonight. I have my therapy tonight. And Jolie mentions all the time, like, you love to do, I love to do puzzles. I love to do puzzles. It's one of those things like, I need to do them. I need to feel the piece in my hand. I need to da-da-da-da. It helps me so much. And, she's a neurodivergent therapist. So she's like, oh, you're never going to be alone. That's a huge thing. And I went, oh man, no wonder. So there you go. That's my puzzle story that was half the episode. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, for me, drumming has always been something though. Like, I have to tap, I have to do this, I have to, but when you get me on a drum set, oh shit, man, it's, I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It is like hands down one of my favorite things in the world. So yeah. So what got you into coffee? Like, I know that's the shittiest segue, but let's get into it. Cause I know
so coffee.
Yeah.
I remember I moved up here and, after high school, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was kind of, I wouldn't say a burnout rock star, but I was just kind of going in a place that was not good, with substance and partying and things. And I think my family saw, like, if we don't save him, like, he's gonna,
crash.
I was going to crash and burn. I may not recover from it, so to speak. And so, I remember going to school for landscape and architectural design, and that's what I had done in Florida when I wasn't playing music. That was my, I guess, real job. And so I was like, oh, well, I'll just bring that knowledge up to Tennessee. There's all kinds of different kinds of plants and things. So I did an online college for that. And then that didn't really, I don't know, I guess I just didn't really have the want for it. So I had a crazy dream about being an EMT, and it was one of those dreams where it was real. You woke up and it looked like I jumped in a lake. And so I said, okay, I don't get it. I do love helping people, and I do love the adrenaline rush, and so I went to school for that and had a screwed up call, and I just decided, I don't want that life. I don't want this heaviness every day, and so I finished school, and then I just never pursued it with my license and everything. I just kind of let it drop, but after spending all the money and time, and I'd done really well in my own class, I was kind of like, I can at least say I made it. I did what I had to do, and I accomplished it. even if that's not what I'm going to pursue or do.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to a temp agency because I was working at a gas station while I was in college, which was about like the real life version of the movie Clerks, and in every bit of the way. It was me and a bunch of college buddies running a gas station. And I ended up going to a temp agency and getting on with Curry Green Mountain Coffee. And that was where I really got my start in coffee. And even I had no idea going into it that I would, turn it into a life and a career and a passion.
Were
At
you
the time,
were
it
you
was
a
just,
coffee
hey, I need to
drinker at the
work and make
time?
money.
Yeah, were you a coffee drinker at the time, or were you just like, okay, no, it's a job?
I've drank coffee as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
My mom would probably tell you like maybe 8 or 10, somewhere in there.
Okay. Oh, then no, definitely you're a coffee drinker. Yeah.
Yeah, I was they would tell you it was going to stunt your growth, but I was in kindergarten. I was 5'1".
Yeah. Nope, that didn't do anything for you. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I wore size 7 in men's shoes in kindergarten. I remember being angry because the shoes that lit up no longer fit my feet.
Oh my God, that is so funny. That is holy shit.
And I only grew to 6'4", and that was probably by middle school, high school, when I finally just kind of, phased off.
Man, yeah, I think I was. No, they were staying at the house. I was with a band, the band American Analog Set from Austin, Texas. They were staying with me, and they were just like, "Hey, where's a good place to get coffee?" Because I was just like, oh, "I don't have coffee here." 23 or 24 years old. And I'm like, there's a place called Perk and Beans down the street. So we went down to Edgewater Drive where, it's like it's just like College Park here in Orlando. It's like their main street, if you will. And we went there and I walked in and the smell was so damn good. I was like, wait, what is all this? And it's every different kind of coffees. And it was coffees from different notes and stuff like that. And that did it. I had my first ever coffee and I fell in love. And I've met some of the most amazing people through coffee. I'm going to be honest with you, like some of my favorite people in the world. And it's just one of those greatest things to say, hey, let's get coffee. Or the greatest thing in the world is that smell in the morning when that's the first thing I do. I think we talked about this the other day where it was like, brush your teeth first, or is it coffee first? Or in mine, like I was like, nope, it's coffee. Sorry. I don't want my coffee to taste like minty doo-doo while I'm enjoying my coffee through the day. It's like when my coffee's done, I'll brush my teeth since I'm home all day. Yeah. No. And that was it.
So you know what I think it was? My parents always drink coffee. But the first coffee that really grabbed my attention, I'm almost like knowing what I know now about it, makes me kind of like cringe a little bit. But I didn't know any better, at a young age. But we would sometimes as a family, especially around like before Christmas, they were trying to figure out like, my parents were like, hey, what do the kids want for Christmas? What's what's their thing? And we'd go to the Edison Mall in Fort Myers, Florida. And we'd go to KB Toys and all that stuff back then when, KB was still around.
Yeah.
But there was always a Barney's coffee shop right when you walked into the main part of the mall.
Yep.
And my parents would get Santa's White Christmas.
There it is. Yeah.
And I can taste that smell. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those like first things that really got my attention. I thought, man, like coffee doesn't have to taste like old bong water. It doesn't have to taste like melting plastic. Like it can actually taste good. And knowing now that it's chemicals and you really probably don't want to ingest that stuff.
Well, it's funny because Casey, a few months ago, I came home with the coffee you gave me and she's enjoying. And it was the holidays, and she's like, babe, you know what I'm going to do? She goes, I really want Santa's White Christmas. So we got the ground version of it, and I brewed it one morning for her, and it's like, all right, I'm going to surprise her. She's going to wake up. I'm going to bring coffee to her, Santa's White Christmas. And I was like, what the hell is this coconut? Like, it was like in a digital world of coconut. It just didn't smell right. It was like, this is the weirdest coconut smell. And then I tasted it, and I was like, But you know what? To be honest, I was like, nope, this is exactly what it is. And this is exactly what they're making. And Publix, the supermarket, during the holidays, they make a premium ice cream that's Santa's White Christmas, and you
Yeah.
bet your ass it's the best stuff in the world.
Yeah,
So,
Julie's obsessed.
oh, it's the best, hands down,
Yeah.
the best ice cream. So yeah, so when it comes to Santa's White Christmas, at least the ice cream was good. And yeah, I brought the drip coffee maker out for her because I do French press, and it's not been used since. So yeah, that one bag of Santa's White Christmas went a long way, and I was like, nope, yeah, that's so fun. But that honestly, at that time, yeah, why not? Now you say it all the time. Where you are right now, how many other coffee roasters do you feel are kind of made the underground overcrowded for you over there?
What do you mean?
How many coffee roasters are there? Because it used to be an
Oh,
underground thing, right?
well,
It used to be like, hey, we'll have like 2 or 3 people doing it. I'm sure
well,
now it's like,
right now it's kind of like the brewery craze 20 years ago.
yeah,
Everybody wants to be the coffee guy, and everyone wants to be known for the coffee guy. I guess the part that kind of deters me a little bit here about anywhere else, like Bay Area, New York, Atlanta, like even Memphis, like so many people here want that recognition and validation for being the expert and the one and the cool person, to be for that title. And it's like,
ugh,
it's not about your own glorification and exploitation of ingenious people. Like, this is real people. This is real lives. This is real culture.
yeah,
It has nothing to do with you. If anything, you need to represent them. And I'm not saying you can't have a brand or anything, because there's so many here, and they're popping up every day. Everyone's got a coffee shop, and there's coffee shops here that do amazing things. They do like a nonprofit thing where they help certain minority groups in the community and things like that. And those, I don't have any hatred or anything towards that. And if anything, I support that, and if I can help in some way, I do. But it's so just like watered down, and everyone's just trying to like water the next person down. And
yeah, yeah.
it's just like none of you have any experience. It's just the new cool thing, and you all jumped on board. None of you have been to a farm, or you saw a couple James Hoffman videos on YouTube or something. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the new cool thing, right? But what I will say, what I do like about this younger generation coming in, sober is a cool thing. Like, they are making sober like the new drunk. Like people aren't going out and getting trashed at bars. Like, we actually have breweries that have been here for years that are great, that are having to close down. Besides
Really?
the economy,
Yeah.
and issues like that, this younger generation just doesn't want to be drunk that often.
I'm
Maybe
seeing
once
that
in a
too.
while. They're
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
getting drunk Monday through Friday or Friday through Monday. So
Yeah,
I
it's
will
actually
say I like
interesting to
that.
see. Yeah, and not saying I'm sober, but look, I've spent lifetimes in the programs, not because of myself, but through, family members, and hearing thousands of stories of what it's like, either on drugs or alcohol, and whew, there's a reason why people have to get clean, but at the same time there is this, sure, I've only been maybe drunk less than a handful of times, right? I think for me it's just one of those, I love a good wine. I enjoy whiskey, if you will. I had a brewers podcast based on beer and what the brewers were doing, and I treated them like filmmakers or musicians. So for me, it's like I saw it in a whole different level than it's like, hey, let's go party, let's do this, and that always irked me. I hated that. So for me, it's like I like seeing that. I like seeing the responsibility if you're gonna drink, and I like the fact that, hey, if you're gonna tone it down, tone it the hell down. Like, honestly, take care of yourselves, because right now mental health is so important, and we need to thrive on that. And honestly, it could be a shitstorm coming into it. So I'm not obviously kind of piggybacking off what you said and saying things like, don't drink, everybody. No, fuck it. Enjoy. Actually, have a glass of wine right now while you're listening to this. But at the same
Right.
time, it's like, take care of yourselves. And where is that mental health going? So for me, I want to kind of segue into mental health. What is a safe place? Not going to say safe space yet, but safe place for you. Is it roasting? Like, where is your safe place when it's like your brain is about to go from 0 to 100? You know, we've had that episode. Where's your safe space? Like, a safe place? Where can you go to be like, this is what I do. This is allowing my brain to unwind.
You know, it's changed a lot throughout my life. When I lived down there as a kid, my place, especially once I was able to drive, 16, get your license and stuff, there was this pier at a place called the Cape Coral Yacht Club, and this was like, we didn't have cell phones then, and I think,
Right, yeah,
I don't think I had a cell phone until I was like 18, and it was like a Sony Ericsson or a Sprint phone, it was nothing like what we have now. So you didn't use the phone for texting. You actually called with a purpose when you called somebody.
yeah.
And everybody knew if it was after 10 o'clock at night and I wasn't answering my phone, that's where I was. And you'd have fishermen out there, just catching, red snapper and things on the water there. But I just loved going into the end of the pier, and there was like a bench, like a little benchy area along the pier, and I would sit there and just by myself. Sometimes I might have a CD player and some music, headphones in my ear, but I would literally just stare off into the ocean, for hours, probably till like 1 or 2 in the morning sometimes.
Do you miss that now though? Because being in Knoxville, is that something, or is it like I got that out of my system?
So Florida, I do miss being on the coast. Florida, California, the other places I've lived. Tennessee's the only time I've been landlocked, and you have the Tennessee River and things like that here, and there's waterfalls and creeks. It's a different kind of beauty.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not saying I hate one and like the other. Like, it's just a different state. Like, the Smoky Mountains are so much different than like the Redwood Mountains or Santa Cruz Mountains in California or Yosemite, things like that. So I find beauty and peace in nature typically, and so.
As it should be.
100%. Where my folks live, they live in an area called New Market, Tennessee. I built my roasting facility there, and it's just nothing but beautiful farmland. Like I didn't know how many stars were in the sky until I moved back in 2020.
Yeah.
And was at their house, and I was just like, oh my God, like I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
And when you live in a place that has light pollution, the sky actually looks like glitter in like the most twinkly way. It's interesting.
I haven't seen that since my sleepaway camp days in Georgia. I'll be honest with you. And that was what a kid. So yeah, the stars, I would love to see stars and just take that in. Yeah. It'd be beautiful.
Yeah. Cause I mean, Florida, you might see like the Big Dipper and Orion's Belt, like the big bright stars, but
yeah.
But when you can't see your hand in front of your face, it's so dark, and you look up at the sky and that's the only light. It's just a different
totally different kind of
different feeling, like, and you realize how small you are. I think.
That's a good thing to feel, man. Let's be honest, because right now, you said it, like everybody just wants to, be the next big thing, coffee this, coffee that. Like there's no like passion, and it's like they just want to be the next big. Everybody wants to be the next big thing, and it's it's good to feel small.
The weirdest thing about Knoxville's coffee scene compared to like California and like Oregon or Washington, I've said this in a few interviews, is like you have anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 coffee people, roasters even, or companies in those big states.
Yeah, man, isn't that nuts?
But it's like a big community, and I'm not saying like every family, there's not ups and downs or disagreements and things like that, but the main vibe is almost like that Florida scene, like, hey, we're all doing this together. I can help you learn this or do that, or if you need, certain connections for coffee, or, it's like, it's more open. People are more cool. Where here, it's very like middle finger and like I'll show you, and like I call it small business or BDE, which is it's baby dick energy. It's just like what this is unneeded bullshit.
It
Like
is. Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
build something beautiful here. This city is one of the quickest growing cities right now in the nation because a lot of your West Coast and other people are moving here. Like we can make this a beautiful place. We don't have to make it a toxic one. And you know, and there's, and I've asked people here, and I've felt it a lot because I've lived in Knoxville on and off for 18 years. And there's like when I leave Knoxville and go to like Florida or even Asheville, North Carolina, or somewhere, you know, just get out of this like
love Asheville
realm.
Yeah.
It's like you realize that there's oxygen outside of this realm. It's weird, like it's like a different place, and it's like there's almost like this like dark energy of heaviness over the people in the city sometimes, like oppression feeling, and it's something that I just could never understand, and I've always fought against. And I think it's sometimes where I clash with people here, because I'm trying to understand it. I'm not trying to like point a finger or prod. It's just
think about your punk rock roots, man. Like that's what we want. We want that. That's what we want. We want family. We want togetherness. We want that whole like we motivate each other to make the next best album, Coffee, you know, like something like that. I don't know. It's so sad that it has to be that way in a lot of things. I think that's why I love doing this podcast now and meeting these, you know, not just the podcast, like just being someone that is, even if I didn't have the podcast, I'm still going to be someone on the spectrum that wants to be there for people on the spectrum. And I've worked so well with so many people, kids to older, you know, like it's crazy how much I want to educate, inform, and work well with people. So now we did talk about the peer younger, but is there someplace now that you feel now that we're older, where's a safe space now for you, a safe place for you now?
So I create, you know, with ASD and sensory, I think you and I talk about this on and off a lot, but it's about the way you feel where you are. And so like everything from lighting to the art or even aesthetics of a place that you live, because like when I do a farmer's market, I'll have anywhere from like 500 to 1,000 people walk through and talk to me.
Yeah.
And something about with ASD is like we feed off energy, and so many people are unaware that they are just suckers, like they're energy suckers.
Yeah.
And so like when I get done with a market, I always, doesn't matter if I got to go out that night and do something or teach, or Julie and I go have a date night or meet with some friends, I have to have at least 2 hours to just put my phone down, and just chill and just recharge and like regroup. And so I feel like home a lot is my place here. Or when I go to the roasting facility, my dad has some woods in the back of their property.
Nice.
And he actually carved out like a walking trail. And I think, I don't know if he ever did, but he was talking about putting like a park bench, like one of those cast iron benches in the midway of the trail, just so you had a place to like just sit and hang. I remember he joked to me, "Oh, you can go smoke your doobies back there when you're having a bad day," you
Right.
know, like just something funny, right? Like, and so like being out there, I guess just being away from not necessarily people, but just away from everything. Period. That could be a distraction that's so normally clinging to you or pulling at you when you're not in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I would love to do that, like have just like a trail in the back, and just being able to just go out in the woods and just take that all in. I love that smell too. I mean, in Florida, you don't get it. Let's just be honest. In Florida.
No, but you can tell me this, the moment you hit Valdosta going into Florida, towards Florida,
yeah,
you smell that swamp, man. Like you don't realize Florida has a deep stench
Valdosta.
until you leave and come back in. You're like, oh, Oh, there it
Yep,
is.
there it is. It is. It's there. So it's so funny to be in Florida and to be like, do we have a safe space here? Where's my safe space? My safe space? Honestly, I think like I know where that is. That's just more of a person or like where I could have a support. But for you, is there a safe place? Like, who is your support there that if you need to talk about these things or something like that, where can that be, like in your support system, if you will?
So Julie, my partner, I can come to about just about anything. But my buddy Zach, I've known for probably 20 years now, if not over. And like he and I have traveled and been through some crazy shit traveling through the world and stuff. So like there's nothing I could say or do or vice versa that the other person's not like, what the heck was that? Or,
Yeah.
and so like he lives maybe 10 minutes from where I live right now. So
Awesome. Good.
And we have different interests. He's a brainiac when it comes to building cars and stuff. And like, so I'll go there, grab a wrench, have no idea what I'm doing, just help him out, but also just kind of bullshit and talk about life and stuff like that.
Dude,
or vice
that's
versa.
awesome.
He'll talk to me about stuff he's dealing with or going through.
Well, that's the big part of a support system, right? It's like it has to go back and forth. It has to be something like, I wouldn't want it to be on both sides. Me having to be like, hey, so and so, like you're someone I could talk to all the time, and this, and then for them not to feel like they could do the same with me, or again vice versa, where they could only do that with me, and then when I try, it's like, oh, there went that. I don't know. Like I think a support system is so huge in what we're all going through. And honestly, I always say this is a safe space, a safe place for everybody. Like Bruce Springsteen says, we take care of our own, and that's what we're going to do. Wow, Paisley got into that. Paisley's like, Springsteen, where? I know, honey. Her brother, Shankly, his middle name is Fredrickson, like Bruce. So, yeah, like, we're a Springsteen loving family. Yeah, I honestly feel like, I have to thank you because you have become one of those for me. Oh, weekly, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, where I could be like, hey, man, if it's something with the podcast, I was just recently diagnosed and I'm scared shitless most of the time of like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Or like, you'll just come out of nowhere saying like, hey, have you ever thought of this? I'm like, holy shit, the dude read my mind this morning. Like I was just thinking about that, So I have to say, whether you know it or not, you have become someone's support system, and I thank you for that. Like I really do, man.
I mean, I could go for same. I would say. I mean, I'd say you and I probably talk more than I talk to any of my other close friends or anybody.
I do appreciate that,
especially about like really deeper things that like really do affect or feel or you feel strongly for or passionate about or curious.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this recording goes, because honestly, guess what? It's like an episode of 24 now. We've recorded it, and I have now 35 minutes to edit this. Well, I don't, but I would like to do that before Casey gets home, right? So I want to get that done. I want to like edit it, and I'm going to publish it for it to be released, in what time is it now? 3? So in 12 hours, this will be live. In 12 hours, this episode will be live for anybody waking up at the 3 o'clock hour and being like, hey, I got a podcast to listen to. Oh, shit, put it on. But yeah, I feel like this is going to be like, if this works, even not going to say wonderfully, as long as everybody can understand every freaking word that's coming out of your mouth, you're going to be a huge part of like those deeper down discussions that we are going to have, because I made you listen to a biography. I made you listen to a book, and we both have a love and appreciation for Tony Bourdain. And we're not going to bring it up at all right now, but I think you and I definitely need to have an episode where I go, yo, man, like there's one thing about Tony that we all need to know. And it's this. And I think we're going to have people be like, oh shit, but then go, oh my God, no, he's right. I think he's right. Holy shit. Wait, no, I do align with this. And he had all that people all in the amount of time I got to spend with that dude. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, that's like, I think, no one knows yet, but we've recorded 2 other episodes at least so far. Yeah. One's being that 3-hour one.
Yeah, which will become 6 episodes. But no, yeah, like honestly, I'm glad you listened to it, because now you could have insight on saying like, what do we talk about here, here? Like, what about this? Like we mentioned this, and be like, yeah, no, let's clip it and put it up. And yeah, we do have an episode that, there's 2 on the Patreon that hasn't been published yet that are one of you and I, and then another one that's Tina Evans was a few weeks ago, and then Casey and I, which is Safe Place, Safe Space. What are the differences and things like that? So yeah, we have more content coming out, and I think again, if this sounds great, we introduce everybody to you now. It's like, let's go. Well,
look, after all the videos hearing my name, they're probably like, who the fuck is this guy?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. Yeah. So here you go.
And I just want to be like, I'm not some celebrity or anything. I don't have. It's not Quayne trying to get 20 phone calls to get to me. There's nothing like that. It's just been, time and circumstance.
Dude, I can't believe yesterday. Shit, yesterday pissed me off. The last 2 days have really pissed me off. And the fact that I sit down and it's like the DeLorean with the flux capacitor. I felt like I hit my head on the steering wheel, and it was just like the car turned on, and I was like, oh God, it works. It works. Oh shit. And I text you right away. It's like 9 a.m. or so. And I'm like, or 8:30. I'm like, whenever you're ready, I'm going. Like, let's go. So it's just like, and when you're like 2 o'clock, I was like, oh shit, what if something happens? And no, we're here. So hopefully I can't knock on wood because no one wants to hear that when they're listening to a podcast. So Rich, I want you to go ahead. Tell us all your socials. Like, where are you? How do we find you? I'm giving you this next minute to self-promote. Go for it.
All right. Website is memoirscoffee.com. There's plenty of podcasts. This one will probably be on there as well once it's released. And at Memoirs Coffee on Instagram, or Memoirs Coffee Roasters on Facebook. On socials, if you want my personal, it's just food, coffee, and random positive posts most of the time, mostly food. It is usually under Dick Stone. My birth name is Richard, so a lot of my friends growing up just called me Big Dick because I'm the big guy. So
yeah, and they'll see that in the picture of us like hugging. Yeah, you will definitely see
my father was Dick or Richard Senior, so I'm a junior, and I didn't want to be called Little Richard, so obviously I just went with Dick and said he went by Rich, so it was always cool just to go that way.
Oh, I love that. No shit, I never heard that story. That's awesome.
And I get it a lot. You asked me, do I call you Rich? Do I call you Richard? Do I call you Dick? And I always jokingly say, I've been called worse, but honestly, whatever you're comfortable with, I'll answer to.
No, and I'm honored to just be able to call you a damn good friend. No names attached. Just really, your heart is in all the right places, and your support has been definitely, like, your voice helps me like 4 times a week. So I can't thank you enough. I really can't. And honestly, I can't wait. I'm actually, like, as soon as I'm done, I'm running into I'm taking the headphones out of this and I'm putting them into the computer and I'm editing this now. So yeah, I'm
gonna speak this into manifestation. Is I know Fest is October?
Mm-hmm. End of October. Yeah, towards Halloween. Yeah, the weekend of Halloween.
Let's make it our goal before that to meet somewhere, even if it's like Atlanta or somewhere.
Love it.
At some point before then. So
yeah, honestly, I know Casey and I have been meaning to do Atlanta again and again. So I know we'll probably wind up seeing a Falcons game in December. But yeah, before that, hell's yeah.
Yeah, because Julie's never been to the Vortex.
Oh, God. You just said Casey's favorite V word.
And none of you have been to the Jim Harrison Museum.
No. And we were there. Was it?
Or Jim Henson, rather.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, my God. When we were there in December, I remember mentioning the Jim Henson Museum, and she was like, it's right there. And I forgot. I don't remember if I told you, but I was like, we didn't wind up going because we were only there for 2 days, I think, if that was the case, or 2 nights. But right. Okay. I thank you. I truly thank you for this. And honestly, any last words, any final thought?
No, because it'll just keep going.
Exactly. I ask you that all the time. In that one episode that we recorded, I forgot where I was like, oh, really quick, a final thought. And it opened up another half hour. That opened up
that's what
another half hour.
That. So I'll say we'll leave it for the next one.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Not everybody could be Casey where it's, no, I think I'm okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Shit. Well, that ends that. And I'll still ask her in every episode. So awesome. Well, dude, I love you, man. Thank you.
Love you too.
Thank you. All right, guys. You can find us at reason2podcast@gmail.com. You can find us on the socials at reason2podcast as well. Reason2podcast.com, but we are Reason to Believe. Again, Rich came up with this. We are wired differently, but we are thriving always, and I love him for that. And honestly, everybody, we are here for you, and I thank you for listening. Okay, we will see you on a Neuromix Monday. Yeah, that's it. Bye.
Sounds great.